There's a reason you didn't die that night. You didn't just wake up by accident. That sudden jolt in your spirit at 3 a.m., that overwhelming pressure on your chest, that dream that felt too real to be a dream. You didn't imagine any of it. Because while you were lying there in silence, your room became a battlefield, your bed became an altar, and your soul became the target. The devil doesn't attack what doesn't threaten him. He came for you because you carry something dangerous to the kingdom of darkness, your calling. You weren't just asleep, you were being watched, tracked, studied. The enemy waited for you to relax, to let your guard down, to stop praying, to drift into unconsciousness, because that's when most people are too weak to fight back. But you are not most people. You are a chosen one, and while you were unaware, heaven was wide awake. The plan was in motion. Demons approached, spirits whispered, but then God stepped in. And what the enemy planned for destruction, God blocked before it could even reach your heart. This video isn't entertainment, it's not a coincidence. This is a divine message for the one who's been under attack in the night without knowing why. So stay with me, because by the end of this video you'll understand what really happened while you slept, and why the enemy failed. You thought you were just laying down to rest. You brushed your teeth, set your alarm, maybe scrolled through your phone one last time and closed your eyes thinking the night would be just another night. But what you didn't know, what the physical world would never reveal, is that as soon as your eyelids shut and your breathing slowed, a gate opened, a spiritual gate. One you couldn't see with your natural eyes, but one that heaven and hell both watched closely. Because sleep is not just a biological reset. For a chosen one, sleep is the entrance into the realm where the real war happens. In the physical world, your bed looks peaceful, your body is relaxed, but in the spirit, the atmosphere around you is often turbulent. Because chosen ones are highly sensitive in the spirit. Even when your flesh is unaware, your spirit is still alive, still glowing, still vibrating with divine frequency. And that light in the spiritual realm draws attention from angels and from demons. This is why you sometimes wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. without explanation. It's not always a coincidence. It's not just your bladder. Sometimes it's your spirit being awakened by divine interference. Because something entered the room that wasn't supposed to be there. Have you ever felt that strange presence in your room? That heavy atmosphere where your heart started to race for no reason? Have you ever felt paralyzed in bed, unable to move, like something was holding you down? Or maybe you had a dream so dark, so vivid, so real that you woke up sweating, panicked, confused because your soul was under attack. Those weren't dreams, those weren't random, those were signs that your sleep was not empty, it was occupied. The truth is, the moment you gave your life to God, you became marked. Not just marked for purpose, but marked for warfare. The enemy took note of you. The forces of darkness observed your potential. They saw your prayers. They noticed your isolation. They watched as people left your life, as you refused to bow to the world's system. And they knew you are a threat. So while the rest of the world sleeps soundly, unaware of the invisible war happening above their heads, you sleep under surveillance. Not by man, not by the government, but by heaven and hell. Because your soul carries something eternal. And every night you close your eyes, there's a spiritual transaction happening. Either an attack is being launched or protection is being enforced. You are never truly sleeping alone. Even when no one is physically in the bed beside you, there are presences all around. The Holy Spirit hovering, angels standing guard, and sometimes demons trying to gain access. They circle, they study, they whisper, they search for an open door. Bitterness, fear, lust, unforgiveness, fatigue, distraction. Any crack is enough for them to enter. But what they always forget is that you don't belong to the world anymore. You were bought at a price. You are covered in the blood, and even when you're unconscious, God never sleeps. He who watches over Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps, and you, chosen one, are His. You're not like them. Your sleep is not ordinary. Your nights are not silent. Every hour you lay down, there is movement. In the heavens, in the spirit, around your bed. You're not alone. You were never alone. Not in the light and not in the dark. Not in joy and not in fear. And certainly not in your sleep. The devil is not ignorant. He's ancient. He's strategic. He's studied human behavior for thousands of years. He knows when people are strong, and he knows when they're vulnerable. And for chosen ones, there's a particular moment when your spiritual shield may seem weakest. In your sleep. You see, the enemy doesn't always attack during the storm. He often waits for the stillness. He doesn't always come for you when you're praying. He comes when you're drifting, when your defenses are low, when your mind is relaxed, your eyes are closed, your body is at rest. That's when he creeps in silent and disguised. Because sleep isn't just about physical rest, it's a transition into the spiritual realm. And the devil knows it well. There's a reason night terrors, sleep paralysis, sexual dreams, dark figures, and whispering voices visit the sleeping. These are not just psychological phenomena, they are spiritual intrusions. And for those who are chosen, the attacks are not random. They are targeted, because your destiny is not normal. Your future carries weight in the kingdom of God. So the devil looks for any opportunity to derail you even when you're unaware. He targeted your sleep because that's when you're most silent. Because that's when he thought you were defenseless. Because he knew that if he could plant fear, confusion, or trauma in your subconscious, he could influence your waking life. Think back. How many times have you woken up with a feeling of heaviness that you couldn't explain? How many dreams have left you feeling drained, anxious, or disconnected from God? How many times have you doubted your calling after a night of tormenting visions or seductive temptations? The devil plays the long game. He understands that the subconscious mind is the gateway to your actions. If he can attack you there, if he can sow lies in your sleep, if he can appear as someone you love, if he can manipulate your dreams, he can confuse your identity, he can delay your obedience, he can weaken your fire. But this isn't just about random nightmares. Number the devil sent someone, that's right. Not every attack comes from thin air. Some are assigned. There are people in your life or around your circle whose spiritual doors are open. People who unknowingly carry dark energy, envy, curses, or occultic ties. The enemy uses them as portals, through their words, through their touch, through their thoughts, and sometimes through astral projection in the night. Yes, it sounds extreme, but don't be deceived. Spiritual warfare is real. The enemy doesn't fight fair. He uses whoever is available. And when you are chosen, when you carry a divine calling, when your presence alone disrupts atmospheres, He fears what you will become, so he attacks early. He tries to attack while you're sleeping because if he can stop you before you awaken spiritually, before you realize who you are, he wins. But here's what he didn't count on. You woke up anyway. Even if your sleep was attacked, your soul stayed intact. Even if you were shaken, you were not destroyed. Even if he tried to confuse you, God preserved your clarity. Because God was watching, God was guarding, and God was preparing you. You were never defenseless, even when you were unconscious. Because heaven never closes its eyes, the Spirit never rests, and God never lets the enemy touch what belongs to him, not without a fight. That's why the devil hates you. That's why he fears your sleep. Because even in your silence, you're still dangerous. Even in your rest, you're still a threat. And now, you're awakening. And now, you're about to understand everything the enemy didn't want you to see. Not every storm in your life came from nature. Some were sent. Not every betrayal came by accident. Some were orchestrated. And not every dream, every battle, every attack that came in the night was just energy or emotion. Some came from a specific source. The devil didn't always come at you directly. He sent someone. Yes, someone who smiled at you by day but carried spiritual poison by night. Someone who pretended to love you, but in the spirit realm. They were planted near you to drain your fire, to silence your prayers, to blur your focus, and in the deepest hour of the night, to invade your space. The enemy has always used people. In the garden, it was the serpent. In Job's life, it was his own friends. In Samson's story, it was Delilah. And in yours, it may have been someone you opened your door to without suspicion. You see, the devil is limited. He can't create. He imitates. He can't be everywhere at once, so he sends messengers, agents, sleepwalkers, people who have opened doors to darkness whether they know it or not. People whose own spirits have become instruments for demonic influence. And when he sees a chosen one, pure, focused, prayerful, he doesn't always strike with force. No, sometimes he whispers through a familiar voice. Sometimes he enters through a person you trust, and sometimes he shows up through the spirit of a person in your dreams. This is how spiritual infiltration works. That nightmare wasn't random. That shadowy figure you saw while sleeping wasn't just a figment of imagination. That dream where someone was trying to hold you down, to tempt you, to chase you, or even to attack you with words or strange energy. It wasn't just a dream. That was an assignment. The enemy chose a vessel, someone close enough to your soul that they could appear in your dreams and you wouldn't reject them immediately. Someone who could slip past your defenses because your guard was down. Someone who could carry a false message, a false emotion, a false presence, and gain access to your subconscious gate. Let this sink in. The devil knows he can't touch your spirit directly. So he uses familiarity to get close. He uses people who look safe. He uses dream versions of those you care about. Because if you trust the vessel, you won't question the content. This is how spiritual seduction works, and it often happens in the night. Some of you have had recurring dreams with the same person, someone you used to date, someone you used to love, someone you used to fear. And they keep appearing not because your soul is obsessed, but because the enemy is using their image as a spiritual disguise. Every night, another version of them enters your dream space. Not to heal you, but to confuse you. Not to comfort you, but to entangle your soul in spiritual deception. And even in your sleep, your spirit knew something was off. You felt it. That strange weight on your chest, that pressure, that emotional fog when you woke up. That spiritual drain. That silence that felt more like suffocation than rest. You weren't crazy. You were being visited, targeted, and tested, but what the enemy didn't realize, what he never fully understands, is that the Spirit of God cannot be deceived. Even in your unconsciousness, the Holy Spirit is aware. Even when your body is asleep, your divine covering is awake. So the moment the attack entered your dream, the moment that demonic projection tried to invade your space, God's presence rose up. An angel stood between you and destruction. Light pierced the dark illusion. The intruder was rebuked. The spiritual weapon was disarmed. You woke up not knowing how close you came to being entangled again. You thought it was just a weird night. But heaven knew what it was. It was war, and you won, because you are chosen, and nothing can touch your soul unless God allows it. And what God did not permit, He blocked. Even if the devil sent someone against you, even if they came close, even if the assignment reached your dreams, it failed. Because heaven intercepted it. Because you belong to God. Because even in the night you are not alone. And you are not unprotected. There was a night when everything aligned for your destruction. You had no idea. You went to sleep thinking it was just another quiet evening. You didn't feel particularly afraid. You didn't notice anything strange. You even prayed. But still, the trap was already in motion, laid carefully, hidden perfectly. Not in your house, not under your bed, but in your dream realm. Because that's where the devil operates with precision. The spiritual unconscious, the arena where few believers ever take authority. You see, the devil didn't need to touch your body to destroy you. He only needed to touch your agreement. Your belief, your surrender. And the easiest way to bypass your conscious resistance was to target you when your guard was down, in your sleep. So he created the illusion. In your dream, it looked innocent, harmless, maybe even beautiful. It might have been someone offering you food, someone inviting you into a strange place, a sexual encounter, a conversation with a familiar person, or a scenario that replayed your deepest fears or your darkest memories. But underneath that dream, beneath the symbols and feelings, there was something hiding, a spiritual trap. The devil's trap is subtle. He disguises manipulation as comfort. He disguises soul ties as intimacy. He disguises agreements as just dreams. Because if you accept it in your sleep, your soul might carry it into the day. That's why some of you woke up and felt different, like something heavy had attached itself to you. You tried to shake it. You tried to go about your day, but something wasn't right. That's because in the spirit, the trap had almost worked. You were seconds away from forming a soul agreement with a lie, seconds away from opening a door through spiritual symbolism, seconds away from accepting poison wrapped in a dream. But then, something interrupted. It was sudden, a jolt in your sleep, a shift in the atmosphere. You saw a flash of light. You heard a name. You were pulled out of the dream before it ended. You woke up sweating, heart racing, breathing heavy, but you woke up in time. That wasn't your alarm. That wasn't your own power. That was God breaking the connection. God snatching your soul out of the trap before it closed. God interrupting the assignment before it sealed itself in your spirit. Because He saw it all. He saw how the devil disguised that dream as pleasure. He saw how the false spirit posed as someone you love, He saw how you were about to shake hands with a curse and not even know it. And he stepped in. He dispatched an angel. He surrounded your room with fire. He disturbed the frequencies around you. And he shattered the illusion before it could lock in your agreement. You were almost trapped in confusion, almost pulled back into bondage, almost dragged into emotional torment or demonic fatigue. But the trap didn't work, and you want to know why. Because you're chosen, because your destiny is sealed, because your calling is covered, because God has placed a "do not touch" label on your life. And no demon, no lie, no seduction, no trap can override the hand of the Almighty. Yes, the attack was real. Yes, the enemy came close. Yes, it almost worked. But almost means it failed. And now that you're awake, it's time to see clearly, time to recognize that these dreams, these patterns, these night battles are not random. They are spiritual agendas, and God is training your discernment. He's showing you how to see beyond the veil, how to fight in your sleep, how to recognize the trap before it forms. You will no longer wake up confused. You will no longer accept every dream. You will no longer take sleep lightly. Because now, you know. Now, you see. And now, you fight back. While your eyes were closed and your body seemed peaceful, God's gaze never left you. Heaven does not sleep. The Creator who formed your soul with purpose watches over you every second, especially in the moments you feel most vulnerable. What you don't realize is that God saw the enemy's plan before it even took shape. He saw the shadow lurking in the corners of your room, the whispering spirits gathering, the dark forces aligning their attack like a storm on the horizon. God knew what the devil was about to do because he is all-seeing, all-knowing. Nothing escapes his sight. Imagine a great king watching over his city. He does not only watch when his people shout for help, he watches when they rest, when they feel safe, when they think no danger is near. So it is with God and you. He saw the exact moment the enemy tried to enter your spiritual domain. He saw the plans being made in the heavens, the whispers of the fallen angels, the spiritual agent sent your way. He saw the subtle attacks, the lies disguised as love, the heavy shadows trying to suffocate your spirit. And instead of letting the enemy proceed, God sent his light like a flood. Instead of turning away, he moved his angels into battle formation. Instead of allowing the trap to close, he opened a door for your deliverance. God's eyes are on the righteous. His ears hear their prayers, even the ones whispered in their sleep. He does not rest until the enemy is defeated and his children are safe. You might not remember the battle that took place in the spirit realm while you slept, but God remembers it all. The victory, the struggle, the moment your spirit was almost overwhelmed, he was there, watching, fighting, protecting. That is why you woke up. That is why you survived. That is why you're here today. Because God is not just a passive observer. He is a warrior. He is a protector. He is your refuge when the darkness rises, and he will never abandon his chosen ones. When darkness advanced, when the enemy crept close to your spirit, God did not sit silently. He dispatched his angels, holy warriors armed with fire, light, and authority beyond anything the enemy can comprehend. These angels are not just messengers, they are fierce protectors who stand guard over your soul. Imagine a battalion of divine soldiers surrounding your bed, invisible to the natural eye, but unmistakably real in the spirit. Their swords are flames of purification, their shields are impenetrable light, and their presence alone scatters fear. These angels walk the borders of your spirit every night, intercepting attacks before they reach your heart. When the enemy sent that dark presence, whether through a dream, a spiritual agent, or a subtle attack, these angels moved instantly. They formed a barrier no darkness could penetrate. They shattered every chain the enemy tried to place around your mind. They covered you with a divine hedge, like the hedge God placed around Job, preventing harm from reaching you. You might not see them with your physical eyes, but their influence is felt deeply. The sudden release from paralysis, the unexpected peace in a storm, the strength to overcome fear. They are gifts from these heavenly guardians. God's angels don't just block attacks, they also heal what was wounded in battle. They restore your strength, renew your spirit, and remind you that you are never abandoned. Every time you wake up from a terrifying dream, every time you feel protected despite overwhelming odds, it is because these angels are fighting for you. So know this, chosen one, even when the night seems darkest, you are wrapped in a light that no darkness can overcome. You are defended by a power so great that no weapon formed against you can prosper. The battle may rage, but the victory is already won. The enemy might be relentless, but so are the angels of God. They stand between you and destruction. They guard your soul as fiercely as a mother guards her child, because you are precious, you are chosen, and heaven will always protect what belongs to it. You might not always be aware of the spiritual battles happening around you while you sleep, but your body and mind bear the marks of these attacks. The enemy rarely announces his presence loudly. Instead, he uses subtle tactics designed to confuse, drain, and weaken you, often without your conscious knowledge. Have you ever woken up feeling more tired than when you went to bed? Like a heavy weight is pressing down on your chest, making it hard to breathe? That sensation is not always physical. It often comes from a spiritual attack aimed at stealing your peace and strength. Or what about those nights when you feel paralyzed in your sleep, unable to move or speak, trapped in your own body while darkness seems to close in around you? This phenomenon, called sleep paralysis, can be a sign that dark forces tried to hold you down spiritually, attempting to keep you from praying or resisting. Recurring nightmares, especially those filled with fear, confusion, or torment, are another red flag. The enemy uses these dreams to implant doubt, fear, and anxiety, slowly breaking down your spirit's resilience. Sometimes you may find yourself waking up with an unexplained headache, sudden mood swings, or emotional exhaustion. These physical symptoms can be manifestations of spiritual warfare that you're engaged in, even while unaware. You may have noticed that after nights like these, your faith feels weaker. Your prayers seem less effective and your hope begins to fade. The enemy's goal is to disconnect you from your spiritual power by attacking you where you are most vulnerable, in your rest. But understanding these signs is the first step to reclaiming your peace. When you recognize these symptoms as attacks, not accidents, you gain power. You can pray specifically for protection, call on God's angels to surround you, and take authority over your dreams. You are not powerless. You are not alone. The signs you experience are warnings, not defeats. They are signals that the battle is real and that God's protection is real too. You might be wondering, if the enemy attacks so often, if he sends people, sets traps, invades your sleep, why haven't you been destroyed? Why are you still here, still breathing, still fighting? The answer is simple and yet profound. Because you are chosen. Being chosen is not just a title, it's a spiritual reality written in the heavens. It means you carry a divine signature, a spiritual DNA stamped by God Himself. No weapon formed against you can prosper, not because you are perfect, but because you belong to the one who is perfect. You are covered by the blood of the Lamb, surrounded by angels, and sealed by the Spirit. The enemy can plot, he can scheme, he can attack with everything he has. But he will always fail because he fights against a power far greater than himself. You are under a covenant, a sacred agreement between your soul and God. And that covenant has divine protection built into it. Remember the story of David and Goliath? David was just a boy, but he defeated a giant because God was with him. You are that David. You might feel small, weak, or unprepared. But your strength does not come from your own power. It comes from God's power working through you. The enemy can try to wear you down with doubts, fears, or failures. He can use people to betray you or spread lies about you. But he cannot change your destiny. Your path is written in the book of life. Your calling is eternal. Your mission is unstoppable. Even when the attacks come in your sleep, even when you feel alone or abandoned, God's promise stands firm. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. You are more than a conqueror. I will never leave you nor forsake you. This is why every attack is temporary. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Every night of struggle is followed by a dawn of breakthrough. The enemy might roar, but your God is louder. And this victory is not just about surviving, it's about thriving. It's about rising higher than ever before, shining brighter and walking boldly into your destiny. So whenever the enemy whispers lies in your dreams, remember this: his words have no power over you. His plans are like sandcastles before the tide, because you have a divine fortress around you. You have angels watching your every move. You have a God who fights for you, who strengthens you, who calls you his chosen. You are invincible. Not because you're flawless, but because God's grace covers your weaknesses. You are unstoppable, not because the journey is easy, but because the one who leads you is faithful. This is your truth. This is your power. No matter what the enemy throws at you, no matter how dark the night seems, you will always rise. You will always win. Because you are chosen. And chosen ones never lose. Now that you understand the nature of the battle, now that you know the enemy's tactics and God's protection, it's time to respond. God is calling you to wake up spiritually. He wants you to move from being a passive target to an active warrior. Your sleep is a battlefield, yes, but it is also a place where you can claim victory. First, guard your spirit fiercely. Guard what you allow into your mind before you sleep. Avoid anything that dulls your spirit: negativity, toxic relationships, bad habits. Prepare your soul for rest like a warrior prepares for battle. Second, increase your prayer life. Pray not only when you're awake, but also dedicate time to pray over your nights and dreams. Ask God to send his angels to surround you. Command every dark spirit to flee from your sleeping space. Speak life, peace, and protection into your nights. Third, fast and seek God's face. Spiritual breakthroughs often come when you fast and humble yourself before God. Ask for deeper revelation. Ask for clarity in your dreams. Ask for a divine reset. Fourth, break soul ties and spiritual agreements. Many attacks come through connections we didn't know were dangerous. Pray to sever every unhealthy spiritual bond, every curse, every word spoken against you that doesn't come from God. Fifth, renew your mind daily. Feed yourself with God's word. Declare your identity as a chosen one. Declare that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Finally, be alert, watch for signs, stay connected to the Holy Spirit. Spiritual warfare is real, but so is spiritual victory. Remember, God is not just protecting you, He is preparing you for greatness. This season of battle is training. It's a refining fire. And after this, you will walk stronger, freer, and more powerful than ever before. You were not born to be a victim. You were born to be a victor. So rise up, chosen one. Your time is now. This is no accident. This message, this moment, this video, it's a divine appointment. God led you here because He knows your heart. He knows your struggles, your battles, your fears, and your dreams. He brought you here to remind you that you are not alone, that the enemy's plans against you are already defeated. You weren't supposed to see this. You weren't supposed to hear this. You weren't supposed to remember this, but God arranged it. He wants you to wake up to your true identity, to your divine calling, to the protection that surrounds you, to the purpose that drives you. Your story is not finished. The best chapters are still unwritten. You are entering a new season, a season of breakthrough, victory, and divine manifestation. So hold on to this truth. You are chosen. You are protected. You are victorious. No matter what came against you while you slept, God blocked it. No matter what shadows tried to silence you, God spoke over you. No matter what plans were made in the dark, God made a brighter plan for your life. This is your time to shine, your time to rise, your time to walk boldly in the calling God placed on your life. The enemy tried to destroy you in your sleep, but God blocked it. And now, nothing can stop you.